Thank you for joining us here on our WZIP University of Akron versus Penn State University podcast. It is now halftime. Penn State leads the Zips 7-0 here at half. A couple things to note from that. The Zips offensive line played a little shaky in that first half. They allowed 5 sacks in the first half. What do you think about that, Spence?
Well, they're definitely going to need to step it up and make some adjustments. Some positive things I've seen is that they're playing their game. They're not allowing Penn State to get into their heads. They're playing their short game. They're hitting these short passes and letting them go for long gains. Zach Durazio, 3 catches for 41 yards over the middle on slant patterns. Pohl 11 of 20 for 108 yards. He's made some bad throws, but he's also made some really good decisions. Christian Hackenberg, you've seen Jekyll and Hyde from him so far. On one drive, he looked like he was a Heisman candidate, and then on the other, he was just absolutely horrible. He made a bad throw in the red zone and ended up costing his team 7 points by the Zips intercepting him at the 2-yard line. So they're going to need to make those adjustments in order to really put it to the Zips, but the Zips are hanging around.
You've seen Christian Hackenberg. He's gone 4 for 4 on some drives, and then he's gone 0 for 4 to go 4 and out. He's 12 of 24 with that 1 touchdown today. The Zips defense, secondary is playing very, very well. And once you think Christian Hackenberg's starting to get going, it looks like he's starting to shred that secondary a little bit. That secondary buckles down and starts making big plays. We saw the interception. We've seen a lot of batted passes. What I've noticed is Terry Bowden's made a lot of in-game adjustments in that secondary to get these guys to play more press coverage.
Yes, they're playing press coverage, but the one thing I do want to note is that the Zips defensive line is putting amazing pressure on Hackenberg to get the ball out of that pocket. Savon Pittman had a crushing blow at the end of that half where he just absolutely planted Hackenberg, and he's getting his guys fired up, and CJ Mizell and Justin March getting their guys fired up, and they're still in this thing. It's 7-0. They're in Happy Valley, but they're trying for that upset.
No team's really running the ball a lot today in the first half. Jawan Chisholm for Akron, 5 runs, 26 yards. Bill Belton, 4 yards, 11 yards, or 4 carries, 11 yards. Neither team really running the ball, a lot going into the air. The one guy for Akron that is running the ball, though, with is Kyle Pohl, quarterback Kyle Pohl, making plays with his feet. But one of the things I noticed with him, he has yet to slide when he makes those runs. That's very dangerous for a quarterback. You're going to have him run out of the pocket like he is a dual threat type of guy. He needs to start sliding. He's going to leave himself to susceptible hits and, quite frankly, get himself injured at some point.
Yes, you're going to have to watch out for that because especially playing a Big Ten team like Penn State, they've got bigger guys than you do, and they can just absolutely crush you. But the other thing I was going to note about them not running, each team not running, is that they've used their running backs, but in a different way. They've used them on short pass plays where they'll flare out to the side or it'll be a screen pass. As you can see, Bill Belton's got 3 catches for 39 yards and a touchdown. Meanwhile, the Zips, they're trying to use Tyler Williams. He's got a catch for 10 yards, and he's a flex player pretty much. So if they can go back to that in the second half, we'll see how that goes.
A couple of the favorite targets for the quarterbacks. Kyle Pohl targeting Zach Durazio a lot today. He's 3 catches for 41 yards. Seems to be throwing the ball his way a lot. And as for Hackenberg, Eugene Lewis, 3 receptions, 46 yards. Pohl and Hackenberg's numbers very similar right now, and that has to be an advantage for Akron, seeing as how all the hype that surrounds Christian Hackenberg being who he is, and at the young age the reputation as he has for a gunslinger.
Absolutely, and Kyle Pohl's showing us that he's growing up. As you can see, he's targeting Durazio just like he did last year in Michigan when they almost pulled the upset. So I think I see him going back to Durazio multiple times in the second half. They're going to try to hang around, but I just think that Penn State's going to push it to them, and I think they're going to run away with this one eventually.
One of the things that I see needing to happen in the second half is, as we said earlier, the 5 sacks that Akron has given up. That's halted a lot of drives today. I've seen multiple drives stopped by those sacks, and they haven't been able to recover. So for the offensive line really needs to come together in the second half and try to limit the number of sacks. They can't come out of this game with giving up 10 sacks if they give up another 5 in the second half and expecting to win this game. So the offensive line needs to adjust. The offensive line coaches need to adjust, and the offensive coordinators need to adjust to what the defense is throwing at them.
I have to agree with you on that one, but I also have to give some credit to Akron's D-line putting the same exact pressure on the Penn State O-line, because even though we don't have sacks like Penn State does, the thing is, Akron's getting pressure on Hackenberg, and that's really messing with his head. As you can see, he's only completed 50% of his passes. So if they can keep that pressure on him, they could have a case for themselves, but I just don't see it happening.
And I think Christian Hackenberg is getting rid of the ball, as where Kyle Poole is not getting rid of the ball.
Right.
Christian Hackenberg's making the play at the last second to either throw the ball out of bounds, throw an incomplete pass, at least get rid of the ball, whereas Kyle Poole is holding onto the ball a little bit too long. Some of the adjustments that I think the Zips need to do in the second half if they want to try to win this game, I think they need to give the ball to Juwan Chisholm a little bit more. He's an elite playmaker for them. Get the ball in his hands. He's 5 carries, 26 yards. He needs to have a little bit more touches, I believe, in the second half.
Absolutely, and I think that Connor Hunley can join him on those touches because he has 6 rushes for 20 yards himself. Those two can be a good duo in the backfield for Akron. I feel like I said earlier, DeRazio is going to get targeted a lot more, but you watch, LT Smith will get a long ball in this game.
And that's we haven't seen a lot of the long ball today, which has, perplexed me a little bit. They've been going to these intermediate passes, and I believe, Penn State's kind of caught on to that, what, Terry Bowden wants to do, and they've made their adjustments on defense, and Kyle Poole is going at them between the hash marks, trying to stay on the insides with slants. Nothing really deep. I think they need to come out on their first drive of the series. I would like to see a deep ball from Kyle Poole to start it off, spread that defense out a little bit, take the tops off when they get the first drive.
Yes, we're going to see if the Zips can try to do it again, maybe have ourselves a little upset. We'll see in the second half.
All right, we're going to head back now to the game. We'll be back here for the post-game podcast and to see if the Zips pull out the upset.